What's the saddest thing you uncovered at home? I should have known something was wrong when a beautiful house goes on sale for only $100,000 in this economy. When my husband and I bought the house last spring, I was so excited about the big backyard. However, for the past few weeks, anything I planted at a certain corner died days later, like waking up to a beautiful bloom and watching it rot within hours. Even my dog refused to go near that corner, whining and pulling against her leash each time we walked past it. The neighbors joked that the previous owner had cursed it, but I wasn't the superstitious type. However, I was definitely the curious type. One morning, I called up a landscaper to check it out. Yep, I have no idea. The soil seems fine, but let's test it. He scooped up a sample and placed it into a small bag. When the soil test came back, the lab called me directly, which was not a good sign. There were some unusual readings, nothing to be alert about, but we'll be sending out a specialist to confirm. Days later, an older guy showed up with a Geiger counter. At that corner, it started clicking like crazy. The old man's eyes widened. Ma'am, you need to step back, now. I watched him nervously through the window as he paced back and forth, speaking anxiously on the phone. Within an hour, 3 white trucks showed up in my driveway, placing yellow tape around my entire backyard. Wait, the lab told me there was no need to be alert, so what the heck is all this? The lead guy blinked at me like I was stupid and said flatly, no need to be alert, there's a huge amount of radiation in your backyard, and not the nuclear waste type. Radium contamination. I felt chills run up my spine. They led me out to the front yard with their medical team and immediately started a screening process. They asked me sternly to take time off of work and stay home to prevent further cross-contamination, so I spent the whole night unable to sleep. In the morning, the hazmat team arrived, this time with full protective gear. They started carefully digging the corner. About 3 feet down, they hit something metal, a lead-lined box with laminated note that read, "Curse do not open. God forgive me 1952. Well, they opened it. Inside was a woman's wristwatch, still glowing from a sickly green color. The back was engraved in cursive, "To Helen, with love, 1950. The hazmat guy whistled. Whoa, Nelly, a radium dial watch, very deadly. They continued digging. At 4 feet was a metal tin with paint samples labeled with dates, and the word evidence. Evidence for what? I felt even more lost. Then at nearly 6 feet under, they found waterproofed documents containing pay stubs from a watch company, factory memos, horrible photos of women with deformed jaws working in gruesome conditions, and one photo of a couple with their names in the caption. Roger M. I asked the older neighbors about him, and they promptly directed me to a nursing home just 30 miles off. I found Roger sitting by the window, staring out into the garden full of roses with a somber expression. Hi, Roger? He barely moved, probably even hoped I'd go away. I cleared my throat. I'm here about your wife, Helen. His face suddenly turned to mine, his eyes suddenly watery. I haven't heard that name in years. I sat down beside his wheelchair and told him about the dying plants and the excavation. His face looked torn, almost bittersweetly. I've been waiting decades for this, to tell someone. I thought I would die before her story ever gets out. He forced himself to stand up, arms and legs shaking as he walked out to the garden and sat on the grass beside the roses. Helen was kind and heroic, the exact opposite of me. She was a dial painter at a factory where they used radium-infused paint. His face grew dim. The company lied to those girls, told them that they stopped ordering anything with radium in it. But when girls continued dropping like flies, Helen snooped around, uncovered their terrible secret. He took in a deep breath. She gathered evidence for months, hiding it at home. Told me how she planned on seeking justice through the newspapers. He looked at me, sorrow deep in his eyes. Do you know what they do to people who go snooping back then? I swallowed nervously. Yes, everyone knew. He closed his eyes. Her boss, George, showed up to the house, warning me not to look for Helen, that she'd run off. His ties were unfortunately strong with the police, so when I went to them for help, they told me the same things. Go home, wait for her to come back. She never did. Rest her soul. My heart ached at his story. I couldn't imagine the pain and suffering of knowing the truth all these years. His face crumpled. I moved away. I was a coward. I let those poor girls down. I let my wife down. I patted the back of his hand. When I got home, there were more trucks in my driveway. The FBI had arrived with more bad news. A body of a woman was found. Helen. I grabbed the FBI's arm, panicking as I told them about Roger. They immediately sent out a squad to the nursing home. When they told him about the body, he whispered, she was home the whole time. He died 3 weeks later after finally burying Helen properly next to her parents. I planted a small garden where Helen was found. This spring, for the first time in 70 years, roses bloomed in that corner.